Amadou Diallo, Sean Bell, Sandra Bland, Tamir Rice, Philando Castile, Laquan McDonald, Freddie Gray, Mike Brown, Eric Garner. I can rattle those names like clockwork. I remember those stories, and all those names have one thing in common. They were all victims of police brutality. Unfortunately, the list is longer and could continue to grow. It seems like every other day, from our newspapers to our TV screens and news feeds, there's some reference to police brutality. It's more than a crime, but an epidemic in our neighborhoods and communities at large. It's heartbreaking, to say the least. For those that don't know, USLegal.com formally defines police brutality as a civil rights violation that occurs when a police officer uses excessive force and unnecessary force against a civilian. This is often a violation of a person's rights, and it is a direct violation of the 4th, 5th, and 14th Amendments of the Constitution. As a refresher, the 4th Amendment outlaws unreasonable search and seizure. The 5th one promises the right to know your rights and a fair trial, while the 14th promises equal protection for everyone under the law. It's supposed to stop law enforcement from doing such things as racial profiling and stop and frisk. Tonight on Courtney's Corner, we are breaking down what police brutality is, our thoughts, and what we can do about it. Stay locked. Don't go nowhere. You're watching Courtney's Corner. Welcome back to another episode of Courtney's Corner. Today we are diving into police brutality, and we're going over the who, what, when, where, and whys of what it is. For those of you who do not know, this is not something new. This has been going on since the Great Migration. Look it up. And according to an article published by The Root, since 2008, 26.78 people, especially us, people of color, have been killed by the police. So what comes to mind? What comes to mind when you hear the word police brutality? Today, my co-host is one of my best friends from 2003. Give it up, everybody, for Lawrence Burwell. My friend, thank you for being here.
Appreciate you.
It's a pleasure having you, my man.
Appreciate you. Wow. Great topic.
First off,
great topic.
It was a touchy topic because you never know where to go, and in the beginning, I'm like, I don't want to kind of hurt nobody or kind of say the wrong things. And then I'm like, they'll get over it because we're going to talk about it today.
Lead with facts.
And lead with real facts. You know what I'm saying? Things that you're dealing with, things that are happening in your neighborhood that we're living. Yeah. So let's talk a little about it. What comes to mind when you hear that word? When you hear that phrase, police brutality?
Distrust, mistrust, however you want to say that trust word. A lot of people aren't trustworthy. They're not. And when I mean a lot of people, I mean the people who are supposed to protect us. You know, these people supposed to provide and protect for us. You know, keep sanity alive in the community. You know,
right?
They're the bridge between crime and civilians. You know, and a lot of times with police brutality, you know, by definition, the excessive force. The unnecessary force between civilian and police. You know, a lot of them aren't bad.
Right.
This is coming from someone who has law enforcement background. A lot of them aren't bad.
Well, can you just tell the viewers a little about who you are, where you do come from?
Okay, so my name is Lawrence Burrow, as he stated. I come from Brooklyn, arguably the most notorious, worst neighborhood in Brooklyn, Brownsville, to be specific. And I have a 4-year degree in undergraduate, and I'm currently working on my law degree now. I have 2 years left. I want to be a lawyer.
Wow, what's the inspiration behind wanting to be a lawyer?
My experiences. That's the best way I can put that. My experiences. Being that I experienced a lot growing up in high school, being a product of my environment myself, going through these experiences myself, seeing things, you know, and that helps me out. That helps me lessen the burden on myself as far as talking about this topic.
Right. So what are if you can, if you're comfortable with it, what are some things that you've been through? I know for me per se, you know, I come from East New York, Brooklyn. Fortunately, I never had to experience what it was to have a cop stop me and frisk me. But that's, like I said, we are all different in our circumstances and what we're doing in our environments. I was lucky enough not to be one of those, but my brother here can tell the story. So if you can, and to enlighten us on some of the things that you have gone through.
Okay.
Because in reality, just as knowing who you are and being friendly so long, like I feel like you overcame whatever circumstance you've been through. Just about who you are now. So talk a little bit about that.
So, just to dive right into it, one of my first times I've ever been incarcerated, in trouble with the law, I basically did nothing wrong. I was coming from a party, and I was with a group of friends. It was about 6 of us, and we got off the L train at New Lots Avenue in Brooklyn, in Brownsville. As we got off the train, a couple of my friends, they decided to say, hey, listen, let's smack someone. So, getting off the train, I was the last one off the train, and they smacked someone running down the stairs. As they smacked the person running down the stairs, I didn't know what to do. So I panicked and ran myself. Because I guess at that time it was, you want to be in or you want to be, you don't want to leave your friends basically. Not in per se, but you don't want to leave your friends. And as we ran, we literally got 100 feet maybe before the detectives pulled over and pulled us over. And it was about, like I said, 6 of us. And he lined us up and he asked the guy, who smacked you? So the guy pointed one of my friends out who smacked him, which was true. And so he specifically pointed me out and said, hey, he didn't do anything, let him go. He wasn't with them, which I was, but I didn't do anything. So when he made that statement, I thought it was my cue to go. So as I got up, the cop tackled me and basically put my face in the dirt. And that was the first distrust I've ever had for police. And, you know, once again, I didn't do anything. You know, maybe I was guilty by association. Maybe I was guilty for being there, wrong time, wrong place. You know, that's to argue, but, you know.
So one of the questions that I always ask myself, do we categorize all of them, all police officers, just for the few who arguably are jerks, are the ones out there who cause such distrust? Does that become the final judgment on how we see all cops? You know, because of those few who, you know, are actually treating these people this way, have treated you that way. How does it make you feel in totality?
Well, you guys heard of the great Muhammad Ali?
Yeah.
He has this saying where not all snakes are bad. Not all snakes are bad. Not all are venomous. Not all are out to bite you. But do I open up that door for 3 venomous snakes that's not going to bite me opposed to the 100 that are? That ties into the whole, you're on edge when you meet a cop because you just don't know. It's a nerve-wracking thing. You just don't know. You just don't know.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say I'm going to categorize them, but yes, I'm going to be on edge because of personal experiences.
Okay. I'm a little torn here, guys. I'm torn only because this topic is real sensitive. And like I said earlier, experiences are different. I've been blessed to grow up in the area, in the neighborhood, in a time for myself where the people who are around me, I guess, shelter me from a lot of these things. And even just the person that I've become now, I've never had to experience that. But I've seen, I'm not ignorant towards it. I've been involved in situations where, I was able to witness police brutality amongst people of, color, amongst my friends. And I want to get into these things. So Lawrence is going to stick around. We're going to be right back with more guests. Don't go nowhere. You're watching Courtney's Corner. So during break, I was kind of like emotional about the story, only because you never shared it with us, and we've been friends since like '03. So this has been more than 10 years. Pardon my math, guys. I'm not good. So how did that feel overall? Like, and how did that kind of shape you? Or did it change you forever? Was it one of those things that kind of made you look and say to yourself, you know, damn, I'm now like, you know, a statistic for the cops? Like, how did that feel? Like,
I felt like a statistic because I felt like they wanted to get me in the system. I felt like they wanted to target young black men to grow them up in the system, because you never know who's going to turn out to be the worst criminal, the best criminal, a criminal at all. The best thing they do is to try. That's what they do. They try. So you try to get one, you try to get two, and eventually out of 100, you got 50.
right,
Out of 100, you have 30.
right.
It's a numbers game.
And that's how you felt after that whole situation. So who did you speak to when this happened? Because it sure wasn't me. It sure wasn't me.
Well,
so who did you talk? I felt like it. First of all, it's something new, so I'm kind of like adjusting my mind to this. And it also, this kind of, I felt bad. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, upon me even having you come on the show was one of those things. Like, I knew you had a conversation to bring, but I didn't know that was part of the conversation. So I'm like at a loss of words. And I'm never at a loss of words. So like, I feel, and I mean, we're gonna probably discuss this later on, even after the show. But how do you feel?
Well, that per se, I'm over it, because another traumatic experience happened in 2009. So that was the beginning of the thought process.
Right.
That started the spark in my mind to say, hey, listen, I don't think these guys are out to get me. However, I think they have an agenda.
Right.
You know.
Okay. All right. We'll continue this conversation, but right now we have two more amazing young men with us today. They go by the name of Haran and Mr. B. Wright. Give it up for these fellas right now, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
I didn't know if I could clap for myself.
Clap for yourself. Like, who else gonna big you up, right?
Yeah.
So, before we even get started, just tell the viewers a little about yourself. Okay, you can start first.
My name's Haran Hargrave, aka H2O. I'm from Queens, New York. Went to Campus Magnet High School. Played professional basketball in Europe. Played Division I ball in Sacramento State. Went to school out there. Graduated with my degree in communications. Thereafter, after playing professional ball, I started up my own organization called H2O Basketball, where I do trainings and youth clinics for the kids, and AAU training and stuff as well. And then I started Ballin' for Peace, where it's a big celebrity charity events that I do annually.
Okay.
And so this year I'm up to year 5.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna be doing that June 1st.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my man, Mr. B. Ray.
What's up, y'all? My name is Brandon Ray. I am a local poet here in the city. I went to high school at High School of Graphic Communication Arts on 49th and 9th Avenue. I don't know if that information was relevant, but I went to college for communications and media studies.
Okay, sir. All right, let's talk about it. Don't be shy. Don't be scared now. Well, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. We're talking still about police brutality. So then my first question to you guys right now is, what are your thoughts? What comes to mind when you hear police brutality?
For me, it's what we grew up knowing, right? And grew up hearing and grew up seeing, right? So, and that's one of the major reasons why I started Ballin' for Peace, because of the senseless acts of violence that was going on in our community and all over the world. With Mike Brown, and Eric Gardner, and all that stuff, and it was just crazy. You know what I mean? My involvement with police brutality, I've never gotten beat up or hit by a cop, but I've been falsely stopped for no reason. They hold you in a car, have your ID, and held you up for hours, and then just give you your stuff back and drive off. Like they do, like just I have people who are in my family who are cops as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like my sister just, she's now a CO as well now too, but and my niece is going to be a cop as well too. But it's like, you know, having my basketball coach, he's a detective. I've even given, you know, how you give the detective card to cops. I've had cops like just null and void them like at times just because of who I and still give you a ticket for whatever they want to give you a ticket for. So you know, just knowing the difference, like being black and it's a difference, you know. Just hearing police sirens put you on edge. Like you don't feel comfortable with somebody who's supposed to protect and serve you. Like so, it has to be a conversation that kind of we gotta bridge the gap in. And you know, you see cops, you don't feel comfortable to go up to them, or you know, you just want to be out the way, like you know. And I just want to be invisible, like and just go do what I gotta do and not. So it's a topic that needs to be talked about. Yeah.
What about you, sir?
Police brutality for me, basically is, I think there's work to do. And when I say there's work to do, I feel like cops who, you know, falsely accuse, you know, young black men or anybody of color, they need more education because I think their fight or flight senses are a little too heightened. They are not used to something, so it's automatically like kill off the enemy. Kind of like on like a little bit of robotics. It's a little bit robotic when it comes to police brutality. So I think there needs to be work. There needs to be more evaluations. I feel like people definitely need to have some experience with urban communities if they're going to be placing police in these communities, because you can't place somebody who doesn't know something in an area where everything could happen at any given time. So that's how I feel about police brutality.
Okay, so I have a lot of things floating in my head right now, but I'm going to try to stay on course because I know when I start a question or I have a thought, then it kind of like flies.
Yes.
So I'm going to try my best to do this. I know you said something about like knowing about this since we were young. Now, how true could this statement be? Because I know when I was growing up, I didn't have to hear about or have to worry about, you know, the word police brutality. I felt like, and I didn't live in a bougie area, you know, I do now, but I didn't live in a bougie area. I lived in East New York. I'm born and raised in East New York, and I lived in Linden Projects. I've never experienced ever being stopped by the police, right? So for me, my question is, like, where do you think the idea and the notation of police brutality comes from?
Well, for me, I think it's what we seen on TV, like you know, Rodney King. You see the riots and things of that nature. You just saw Abner Louima and things of that stuff. When we were little kids, that was going on, and these were topics. Sean Bell, like you know, and just people taking full-fledged advantage of what's, you know, that's police brutality. That's you know, you're plunging a man, like that's police brutality. You know, forcibly, like you know, and like I said, Irvin Gardner just choking. Like, why are we in those positions where even Sandra Bland, like it's just so many situations that we can sit here and discuss that you don't have to physically it didn't have to happen in your neighborhood, but that you hear about, like you know, when you see it, it's something recently that happened that it was a child where the dude's wallet dropped on the floor, and he's there for his friend, and the cop literally tackled the kid, 15-year-old kid, smashes his head into the floor. This is circulating right now on the internet, and LeBron wrote about it. All you know, Obama, people are chiming in about it. It's just it's been. I feel like it's been scary growing up and as being black, like you know, but you know, more power to you for not, you know, not seeing it, like you know.
I actually like that for him.
Yeah, but to not.
How do you feel about that?
Well, they say things don't resonate until they hit home, right? You mentioned a lot of our fallen soldiers there. One that hit home for me specifically was Akai Gurley of 2014. Akai Gurley was the guy who, he was 28 years old, and he was gunned down in the staircase of Pink Houses.
Yeah.
I remember
that was down the block from where you grew up at. And I would say, it would be safe to say that, you know, we range from 25 to 30, you know? He was 28 years old. He did nothing wrong. All he was with his fiance at the time, and they were proceeding to their homes, and 2 cops were patrolling the staircase, and it was dark. Officer Peter Lane, he proceeded up the stairs with his gun drawn. And it goes back to what you said, sorry. You said, stop putting these guys in environments where they're not from.
Right.
They can't understand the culture.
At all.
They don't understand how we would say what's up.
Right.
We don't always say hi to people. We say, yo, what's up?
What's up?
How you? You good? It's a plethora of things how we greet people of our culture, minority culture.
Right.
Of course.
You know, we don't always say, hi, how you doing? My name is such and such. That's not the way we communicate. 90% of the times, we say, yo, what's good? You good, my boy?
Yeah.
You good, my G? You know,
Right.
so going back to the whole topic of 14 of Kyle Gurley, you know, he was slain in a projects where he did nothing wrong. Wrong place, wrong time is what they say. The charges, manslaughter, criminal negligence, official misconduct. Do you guys know what the sentence was?
Yeah, it wasn't. It was light. I can't remember exactly, but I remember it was light, and people was in an uproar.
I don't
about
watch the news, and I'm actually going to talk about why I don't. And
Just give me a guess at. He was convicted, by the way, but can you guys guess what the sentence was?
the officer or the
community service.
I wouldn't be
think he got-
surprised.
Yeah.
probation?
No, I think it was like about a year or two, if I'm correct, or a couple of months.
5 years.
Yeah. I remember.
Probation.
Yeah, I remember in the beginning, like everybody was. In the beginning, it was like social media was coming out saying like he was going to get like hard time. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you in this. First, while you're in this staircase, if you know it's dark, people still got to come down these staircases, whether they black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. They still got to come down the staircase.
How many
so the
times
fact
did
that
he
you
shoot
have
him?
7.
And,
That leads
Yeah.
me to believe that that's not the story.
yeah.
Yeah.
I get that it was dark. I guess you may have been frightened. But in no sense, form, shape, or
7
way,
times.
you walk anywhere with your gun out.
Right.
That's
7 times?
that's inhumane.
Yeah.
That means you're patrolling with a mission. You're patrolling. You're scared. You know, and you had a partner with you,
Right.
but yet it was dark.
So do you think now, you guys think that these cops, like in general now, I guess, are just abusing their power? And why?
For sure.
Why do you
Definitely.
think they're abusing?
And the reason why, this is what I feel like. I feel like it's full circle. These people, they grow up, they don't understand black. They go to black communities. They might have seen, they might have seen somebody who reminded them of somebody from their childhood who probably teased them or something. And then it's like, oh, revenge on all black people, which I think is utterly disgusting, to be honest, because we're all human. It doesn't matter what the color of our skin is, no matter what our nationalities are. This is a melting pot land. So if you are going to come through and destroy on the melting pot land, why don't you go destroy your own people? Why are you destroying people that you don't understand?
Right. Do you guys think? I'm sorry to play the field here. Only because I have to. So do you guys think this is only happening in the now neighborhoods, or do you feel like because they fear us, they destroy what they fear? You know what I mean? And why do you feel as though they fear us?
Well, I feel like, black is power. Like, you know what I mean? We really are powerful people. We've been through so much and overcome so much. Like, people really don't even think about it, but, like, slavery was not that long ago. Segregation was not that long ago. Like, Martin Luther King in the 60s, like, you know what I'm saying? That was, like, not even a whole full generation.
Right.
So even the things that we do have nowadays, like, we've overcome so much, and people really don't understand. Like the 70s, we weren't born in the 70s, but I'm just saying, like, in that era, like, you know what I mean, stuff was still going on. People were still getting washed down with hoses and stuff. To think that was like 40, 50 years ago, like, is insane almost, you know what I mean? And to just be like, just get over it, we're good now, and it's not, you know what I mean? And these things are still, it's not like they come out front and be who they are. It's more in the back end, like, you have like closet racists and things of that nature, but and it comes out in positions when they are, in positions of power, like, I'm not gonna let you get a job here, I'm not gonna do this. Oh yeah, I see you, I'm just gonna do whatever. It's almost like they can do whatever they want and get away with it, and that's pretty much it, So that's my that's how I feel about that.
So do you guys don't feel at any point, at any time, that there are police officers, people in power, who are there to actually, who have that passion to protect and serve?
Of course.
I'm indifferent about that because I feel like sometimes you'll have somebody on your side, and then sometimes they'll just completely like throw a curveball into everything you're doing. Like, I got into a situation when I was in high school where, you know, every day there was his name was Officer Cruz. He used to let us like walk through the turnstile because, I mean, we're high school kids. We ain't going nowhere besides home. And one day they brought a filler, and I don't know who he was, but he actually was black. And he's the one who got real belligerent. He's like, get out, and I'm like, whoa, what's your problem? Like, we do this every day. And Cruz popped up and was like, listen, these are my kids. Like, you don't mess with my kids. And that's the type of police that we need, the ones who will validate for people's, you know, being and character. We need more of that in the community.
Like so just piggybacking off of that. Yeah, like there are police officers who are, you know, great, and they believe in community, they believe in upbringing, and so I meet a lot of them. You know, speaking out on these things, I meet a lot of them. I went to like Lisa Everett. She had a panel. You know, the police and the community met and they talked, and we was able to ask questions to them and things of that nature. And I met some of them who actually have programs that, you know, they wanted me to help grow and stuff. And then, you know, like I said, my one of my basketball coaches, he is a detective. I'm sorry. And you know, I love the guy, like, you know what I'm saying? But there's a select few, right? I don't believe that everyone feels the same way, you know, and they know that too. You know, even the people within the departments, there are, you know, there are diversity. People are divided, you know, and it all needs to come together.
Well, to interject on what you said, like you said, all of them aren't bad. However, I don't think it's the title itself. I think it's the broader spectrum of it all, because the system is broken. So anyone can go in there with a passionate heart, a passionate mind. It's the cycle and the system itself that turns it around and make people do things against their own will, for their own being, for that matter. Take for example, when the 3 officers, they spoke up about, you know, the quotas that cops aren't supposed to be setting, and the arrests that cops aren't supposed to be setting, like it's a race, and they were suspended because they spoke out against the NYPD. You know, so like I said, even if you go in there with a different heart, sometimes it changes you, whether you know it or not. Just like how you said with Officer Cruz, you know, he stuck to that. You know, how many people are going to stick to that? And even when you stick to that, it's something bigger than that that may be pressing on you now.
Okay. We're going to continue this conversation. One question that I wanted to ask, but we're going to go to break first, is do we feel that the police officers are coming into these communities because we're broken? And what can we do as not just black men, but people of color to fix that? That answer right after this message. All right, guys. How you doing? Am I not going to be doing the teleprompter in front of me? Overlooked by many. Let's get into it. Oh, no, sorry.
But none of my friends knew, so I was hiding that, and in result of that, I was hiding my talents. It's like a full cycle. If you hide one thing, it's going to show up in other ways in your life.
Difficult topic because I didn't really understand what adoption was. No one in my family has ever been adopted.
Yo, what's good? It's the best in the world, Ben Lewis, and you're watching Courtney's Corner. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. You could also follow me on IG at Ben Lewis Radio and Ben Talk Show.
So we're back. I'm off air. We had a major conversation. I'm really good, but to kind of bring it back in, one of the things that we've been talking about is just like brokenness, and we were saying that police brutality is, and it's a disaster. It is something that should not happen in our neighborhoods. But are these neighborhoods broken? Are the people who are in these neighborhoods broken? And what can we do to fix that? We're always so quick to blame police for causing these, you know, these these deaths. But let's be honest, we're living in neighborhoods where crime amongst one another is so high. We're killing our men, we're killing our wives, we're killing our children. We just had a situation where Nipsey Hussle was gunned down by one of his own people. You know what I'm saying? So like, what do you guys say, what do you guys see should be happening in our communities? How can we take back our neighborhoods? We'll start with you. Go ahead.
I definitely feel like we have work to do in our own communities. Like, there needs to be a parent-to-child connection, because there is a big disconnect between parent and child. Some of these parents don't care what happens to their child. They'll let their child fall victim to the streets. We need to definitely be the village to raise the child. We have to do that work to make sure that our own are not falling victim to the streets. They're not joining gangs. They're not being, they shouldn't even be outside past certain times. But because everybody wants to, you know, oh, follow the masses, oh, let them have fun, let them do this, let them do that, they end up in bad situations, because you don't really care. Well, people really don't care who their child is hanging out with. People are not checking no more. Like, it's a different time. In the 90s, my mother knew my friends. She had their phone numbers. Like, it was so different. It was really different than how it is now. These kids got cell phones as young as, what, 8?
Yes.
And they don't even know what monsters really lie out there. So we definitely have internal work to do if we want to survive.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you?
So to piggyback off what you said, you know, parents don't check their kids' friends. I don't even think parents check their kids anymore. For instance,
Parents don't check themselves.
well, we can start from there, but we'll go with
Because
the
let's be
parents.
real, kids are raising kids now.
Yeah.
Especially in this generation. But that's a whole nother conversation. Go back to what you were saying.
So yeah, let's go to the point of, you know, like you said, your mom knew who your friends were. Your mom knew this. You used to meet up with your friends. You used to, oh, bro, where you at? Let's get on a bike. Let's skateboard. Let's meet at the gym. That was my thing, you know. Let's go get bikes and ride somewhere. Now, it's in a day and age where, like you said, it changed, where technology is changing, and technology stepped in to break further what's already broken. It's no way where you have a kid looking on their tablet at 5 years old, 3 years old, saying, "Oh, this is nice, but I don't want to play it. I just want to watch someone else play it." I've watched someone give their child a tablet, let's just say 5 years old, 6 years old, just to shut them up. At what point do you step in and, you know, you learn your kid? What's your kid's favorite color? You know, what games do your kids like? Beside from, oh, let's play Fortnite or something. You know, that technology boom, that technology era, it has crippled us as a black community. It has. You know, we need to step in as far as black parents, the village community, and say, hey, listen, yes, that's good, but that's an asset. That's something that you work to get. I don't give it to you just because I can. You know, we often say, oh, like you said, to piggyback off, oh, you're 5 years old. You're old enough for a cell phone. What?
Right.
Yeah. It's a broken process that's been going on, and these millennials.
It adds to it.
Yeah, it really does. You know, they just have so much access to things that we didn't have access to the point they don't even go outside and play in the parks anymore. They don't do anything like recreational. You know what I mean? It's those are a lot of things that kept us out of trouble. That kept me from, you know, out of trouble. Like, I played ball. Like, that was my calling. Like, it took me from elementary to junior high to high school to where I got a Division I scholarship and graduated. And, you know, even now, like, everything that I've done has been through basketball. So that's why I've been able to be laser focused on a goal. Like, some of them don't even have a purpose or goal.
Right.
Like, you know, you ask some of these kids, what do you want to do? Like, today we took the kids to a firefighters tour. We went to the fire station and everything, and they saw that. And, you know, like, when we grew up, we wanted to be firefighters and things, firefighters and stuff. So I asked some of the kids, you want to be? None of them even knew or really cared about being a firefighter. And that,
You want to be a rapper?
yeah, like, you know, it's just different. It's a different day and age, you know. So,
And I think for me, it also kind of stems on like shifting this narrative, right? You feel like a lot of you guys were saying, like, back in the day, you know, we had the opportunity, thankfully, to be able to be in homes where we were like, listen, you're not going anywhere unless I know who this person is and this person's mother, and we were connected, right? We were connected. We had, you know what I'm saying? I feel like there's so many, social media has kind of taken the lives of our kids. So when they grow up, they don't know They don't know what it is to be family. They don't know what it is to have that connection because it's broken. It's not there. They're not being raised with it. Not being taught. One thing I was saying is people don't wake up and people are not born into this world and say, you know what, I'm gonna kill somebody today.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna grow up and to be cops and go, you know what, I want to kill somebody. That's not their mentality when they're born. But I do say this. I will say this, and the reason I want to get into this is because I also feel like, for me, and I'm going to ask this question to all of you guys, I feel like now this police brutality situation has, for me, become a game. Like, who's going to die next? Which cop is going to kill the person next? Like, we're not. How are we sitting down and taking this in and understanding that every day somebody's being killed by a cop, right? And we've taken it to, okay, well, we'll wait till next week because somebody else is going to get killed next week. And instead of saying to ourselves, where do we draw that line and saying, you know what, we have to do something. And I know we were talking earlier, even off air, about the Black Lives Matter movement, right? And that came out, you know, I believe right after Trayvon Martin had died, and they started this big movement that was for us to kind of bring us together to stop this. But for me, and I'm gonna extend it to you guys as well, it only for me lasted while it's being portrayed on social media, while we're hashtagging it, while they're portraying it on ABC News, and then when it's done, everything about it is done, and we're back to this kind of like living in this community, killing each other, you know, running away from the cops and all this other crap. And where can we kind of start shifting this back so we can get some positivity back in our neighborhoods?
What is a hashtag doing for us? That's the real question. What is a hashtag doing? Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Okay, that goes on Instagram. That goes on Facebook. Goes on Twitter. Whoop-de-doo. We need to bring back that old school vibe. You know, you don't see things like block parties happening no more. Things that kept us with us. That could be why the numbers are raising. That they feel these kids. First of all, these kids don't have an outlet. That's number one. So the streets, it's like their battlegrounds, their playground. They could do whatever. They have access to whatever. So the cops have access to kill us because when you leave somebody out there to do whatever, you don't know what you're going to get into. So we have to. The hashtag, y'all can keep the hashtag. Hashtag Black Lives Matter, that's cool. Like, I'm glad you're bringing some attention to yourself. But go out there and really pick these kids up. Help them, give them a hug, teach them something that is going to be skillful, that they'll benefit from.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I started Balling for Peace.
Let's talk about it.
Right,
That's the segue. Right. I was ready to get into
No,
it.
seriously,
So,
that's one of the reasons why I started Balling for
Turn
Peace
my
is
chair around. I need to get this.
because of all the senseless acts of violence that was going on. And in years past, we've done rallies and marches and banging on things outside of office. But like, I wanted to do something positive. And what I know is sports. I know basketball. My first one was in 2015 at Baruch College, and I had like Jim Jones, Mac Wild. I like put everybody together. Like, I had battle rappers out there and stuff like that. But my thing was to get the people to come out for a good cause. My message is to let's make peace cool. Like, you know what I mean? Why can't peace be something cool, right? So even going to church or whatever, like, let's make going to church cool. Like, you know, so that's the message. My message is peace through sports. So other than just talking about it and just being like, what can we do? Let's go and fight power. No, do something. Have something. You know, like you said, have a block party and stuff. My block party is Balling for Peace. You know what I mean? I'm linking everybody. I have black-owned businesses coming and vending and stuff coming out to show love, spread love, do what they do. You know. You know, we have gaming sections for the kids to come play video games because we know they love video games. You know, we have the youth clinic from 2-hour youth clinic from 12 to 2 before the event even starts. You know, last year I had the New York Knicks do it. Now I got some of the top trainers to come out in New York and train these kids before the event even starts, right? And then we have a slam dunk contest, a 3-point contest, and then we have the celebrity game where they can, you know, get meet and greets with some of their favorite celebrities and stuff. And that's my way of giving back. Some people have other ways, and then and other ways to give back. But this is mine. I do annual events. I do bowling. I do back to school supply drives. I do a lot of different things. And my message is peace through sports, right? So I'm bringing my platform and others to help out to do my part. Like I think everybody has to do their part.
Okay. To piggyback off what you guys said, I'm gonna first go with you with the whole Black Lives Matter thing, and how you said it's an outlet, right? A lot of times we get this media attention. It's from these black organizations that's bringing it to us because the media is white owned. So regardless if it just stays as an hashtag, it's at least got notoriety from the rest of the community. Because how would you feel if, let's just say you were a Kai Gurley, Philando Castile, whoever you are that was slain, how would you feel if you got slain, whether it be in vain or purposely, whatever, and it just stayed there?
Yeah.
I never knew, you never knew. Well, obviously you wouldn't know you're dead, but how would your family feel? How can we voice that? So that's what I think one of the platforms like Black Lives Matter, they meant to us. It may just be a hashtag, but it's also an outlet so we can actually see, oh, what's this? How is this happening? What step do we take from here? Because it don't end at Black Lives Matter. It doesn't end at the hashtag. Other things, other groups form from it, other things stem from it, which can go into with you. How you say, you have all of these events and you do all of this. That's one of the reasons why I joined fraternity, for the same exact reason. Growing up, when I was about 13, basketball was my out. And I'm not so proud of this, but I was doing my things in the street as well. But the people I was doing my things in the streets with, they used to come to my game. That helped me build a camaraderie.
Right.
My mentor, and my brother, he's a detective as well.
Okay.
And when I first seen he has a brand. So when I first seen his brand, I said, hey, listen, what's this? It looks weird. I'm from Brooklyn. I don't know what fraternities are. Like, ew. What is that? It looks nasty. It looks like someone hurt you. He's like, oh, this is my fraternity, and just left it alone. Now, in my eyes, he's always been a positive icon for me. He's always helped me come back through PAL. That was one of the first basketball leagues I've ever got into with law enforcement. And it was a positive view for me because he was on it. So I had someone to familiarize with, so that was my outlet, like yours.
Yeah.
So when he showed me, he said, hey, listen, this is my fraternity, that's it. He never bragged, boasted, he never did any of that. So, as I grow older, memories stay in your mind, They grow fond, and you say, hey, what is this? So when I went to college, I still didn't know about a fraternity until I got to college. Just so happened, my college coach, he was the charter member for my chapter at my school.
Right.
So I seen that, I said, oh, what's this? So immediately, my recognition was to call my brother and my mentor. Hey, listen, what's this? What's this about? He said, oh, how does it look? Send me a picture. Snap, sent him a picture. Oh, whoever that is, give them my number. Let's talk. Obviously, I don't know nothing about it, so I just did what he said. And look, I'm here now, And once again, that goes back to the whole positive thing. That happened through basketball. That created a path for me throughout my life at the collegiate level. That was at 12, 13. I pledged when I was 20.
Yeah.
Or 21, or 22, or 23. Don't tell nobody. But, it happened later on, so that was my transparency as far as, basketball, how it started.
Well, so we are talking a lot about like the things that we're doing or what we have done, right? But I haven't heard yet anything about like awareness.
Okay.
Because in reality, I feel like, as positive of a mindset that we are, we're trying to instill, not just for ourselves, but for people in our community, for our young people. Let's be honest, these things are still going to happen if we're not making things aware. One of the things that we were saying real early along in the show was the fear, right? So when you hear a siren, the first thing you do is jump. When the cop presses you, the first thing you want to do is react, right? The first thing you want to do is kind of talk. And you go from it can go from 0 to 100 real quick, right? So now my thing is to kind of get back into what this topic is about. How can we instill awareness, but to not make people feel that they need to fear the cops, but to know what steps to take when a cop is,
I think that we should start doing. You got to go within your community where you are, right? So it starts from where you're living, your living arrangements, wherever you are. Start having open conversations with the police, right? Let's start having, you know, a night where the neighborhood can come in and openly talk, have an open discussion with the community, with the police, so that we know them. I'm sure, like back in the days, you used to know the police who worked in your community. Like I don't know who's in my community. I don't know who's there. I can see them. Yeah, that too. But maybe we can like change that, like, you know, to where, hey, Detective Davis, hey, what's going on? Like, you know, where you meet these people and they're not strangers to you anymore. You know, at the end of the day, you can. We have to. If this is something that we feel uncomfortable about, I feel uncomfortable as well. You know, we have to make that adjustment, and that's something that I'm gonna do it now. Like, I'm gonna start like a open community night.
Go ahead.
Well, let me ask you a question, right? So, like you said, you have open conversations with these people in your community, right? So, I'm big on like communication and trust, right?
Yep.
So with law enforcement, there's different divisions. They have a community affairs division.
Of course. Yep.
I personally don't see why you should separate them when the police itself should be a community affairs thing as a whole.
Period.
That's just me, right? And also, with that being said, you speak to these guys and they have this arrogance about them. You know, not community affairs. Community affairs seem to be more on the community side. However, in the back of other people's minds, it's just like, you're still a cop with a gun. You're still one of them. You know, like you said, we have to bridge that gap between, you know, that trust between us, community affairs, and the police.
But that's how you're thinking, then that has to happen, right? You know what I mean? Because if these are the things that are in your head, so we can't. Those would be great questions. Like, hey, this is how I feel. I still feel like you are still. You can say that. You can say that to them.
How can we bridge the gap?
I just feel like there's nothing more in conversation. They can't shoot you for speaking your mind. And I mean, like, and I feel like if we come off as hostile, then we're meeting them where they are, where they want us to be.
I think they would want to feel comfortable too, because some of these people come in our neighborhood, they don't know us. You know what I mean? So that's why they're so fearful. But I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, if I see somebody and it hurts to me, like if I'm in a dark alley, it doesn't matter, white, black, or whoever, if you have a hoodie on, right, I'm gonna walk across the street. Like, you know what I mean? I'm literally gonna walk across the street, because I don't know who, you know, and that's just from growing up. You don't walk around people who have, you know, hoodies on and you just don't know. You just don't know.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, right? So, like you said, you just don't know, right? Where are you from more specifically?
I'm from Southside Jamaica, Queens.
Okay, so it's pretty rough there too.
Yeah, it's growing up, you know.
It's a bad neighborhood. It's the underprivileged neighborhood. Whatever stereotype they want to say, whatever.
I've been robbed before too, like literally, like, you know what I'm saying, like that's how it has happened.
The reason why I brought that up is because, you know, and this may be a topic for another time, but I think it needs to be elaborated on and discussed, because we don't feel comfortable in our own neighborhoods, right? That's what we say. But when we go to the middle class neighborhoods, and I'm putting quotation on these things because I don't think that just because you're white, you're in the middle class. Just because you're white, you're rich. You can be black and be rich. You can be black and middle class, white and poor. It doesn't really matter, you know. So you go into these neighborhoods, and it's like it's an uneasy thing. And I'm speaking from experience. I went into a white neighborhood, you know, where it's middle class to rich. I have on basketball slippers. I'm just coming from a game. I have a book bag on. I have the NBA game in my hand as I'm streaming it, walking. Do you know I'm walking down a one-way street, no hoodie on, no threat to anybody. I'm and the cops pull up beside me like, "What's up? What's up? What you doing? Why does that matter?" See, it goes back to that whole when you interpret these cops, it's like, oh, wait, hold on. Your job isn't being compromised here. You didn't get a call saying someone got robbed. You didn't get a call saying, you know, something suspicious is going on. You just want to stick your nose into something that you have no business in your job description to do.
Right.
So,
but that's also going along with, before we kind of end here, and it's going along with trying to change the narrative, right? So you said they pulled up, you're walking, and they ask you what you're doing. The first thing you did was like, why does it matter? So now all of a sudden, they're looking at you, okay, he's a problem. And most times, they want to get you there because they...
But that's a narrative in itself.
Right, but now my thing is, now how do we change that and say, you know what, had you said, hey, I'm walking on my way home, and kept on going.
But here's my thing. Why do I have to explain my whereabouts and my well-beings to another person? Let it be an officer. I don't even care. I shouldn't have to explain myself to another person.
Well, that's not true because let's get here. Let's give you an example.
Unless you're my wife.
If my grandmother
That's
or my
familiarity.
brother or my friend called me and said, "What you doing?" I'm going to say
non-familiarity. I don't owe you anything.
Yeah, but they're not familiar probably with you being in that neighborhood.
In that
So
area,
that's
right.
okay for them to question you. Is that what you guys saying?
Well, if you see,
That's a question, yes or no?
I'm gonna say it like
Is
this.
it okay?
Okay, guys, listen, I'm going to give it like 2 more minutes and we got to wrap up.
I'm going to say this like this. I feel like that's the case of the blind leading the blind.
Okay.
We didn't get the education to properly interact with the cops, so we don't know how to do it.
Right.
Fortunately, there are some of us that do, which because my mother was like, listen, if a cop asks you anything, you keep face. And that's what you do. You keep face.
Right.
But there's some people who, first of all, there's also too many people in our ears. That's number one. Because you got to think about it. We all from the hood. We all grew up. We all listen to OG. We got OG friends. We got aunties. We got all the people. And we're getting so many different firsthand experiences from them.
But trauma also plays a part in that as well.
But
If you stop 10 times and 9 of them are negative, how do you know what's going to be the positive one?
But if you, taking it from another perspective, what if you've never had an experience? Like me, I've barely had run-ins with the cops. I think I might have had 5 my entire life because my mom, like literally, she taught me, and my mom she was a regular Christian woman, pretty much like everybody else's family. She was just like, just don't overreact because there's something called overreacting. Overreacting will get you killed faster than anything.
Right.
So if you just keep face, if you keep calm. If I see a cop, I got somebody cop the other day. I was like, hey, how you doing? He's like, what you doing? I was like, I'm coming out this door. He was like, what's in the bag? From Arizona. You want to see it? You want one? I'll go get you one.
I have a problem with that.
But
So you gotta kind of play. You gotta kind of play.
because I want my
a
life.
part. Like I feel like you kind of just need to get to a point where like, listen.
Whether I act on it or not, by the way.
No, but you gotta think
Just
about
have a
it.
problem
Just like the cops got fight or flight on making it home back to their family after their job is over, we have the same fight or flight. So my fight or flight is gonna tell me, get home.
But don't be the aggressor in that perspective. I'm not being aggressive to have that fight or flight. It's like the whole Trayvon Martin thing, right?
Wait, let me say, I think police, the whole way we look at police in general, like even the way they hide in the highway on the side and like try to give you, speeding tickets, it's not it's not for us. I don't think that they protect and serve, right? They're supposed to do that, but it's like they're looking to ticket you for any little thing. No, it's really weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like the whole aspect of the authority and who do you really call on the police? Other police? Who do you call on the cops? Like when something bad happened, you call the police, right? And then that's their crew, right? So like they're not. It's not for us, right? So you got to play their game too. You know what I mean? That's how I really view it. I know, right? You know, right? You know.
Yeah.
So we have to make other people known how to play that game.
Well, every scenario is different. You don't play everyone the same way. That's just like life.
That's a fact.
You don't play every.
But like they're right because everything is like it's like a regular game. They start at a beginner, intermediate, and then you're advanced.
Right.
So you kind of need to know who's in whatever. But I'm gonna wrap this up. Right? I just want to.
Another 2 episodes.
I feel like this is.
These are 2 episodes 7 through 12.
I just feel like this was a great one. This is one of those conversations that continue. So please follow the Courtney's Corner page because we'll probably continue this conversation on and on. Before we go, though, I want you guys to be able to tell the viewers where they can find more about you. Talk about your Balling for Peace and spill that.
Haran Hargrave, founder of Balling for Peace. You can follow the page on Instagram. That's BALLIN, the number 4, and the word peace. Follow me on Instagram, H205, ballingforpeace.org. Yeah, man, that's about it. Balling for Peace will be the 5th annual Balling for Peace will be this year, June 1st at St. Francis College, downtown Brooklyn. You can get your tickets on ballingforpeace.eventbrite.com right now. Yeah.
All right. Hans.
My name is Brandon Ray. I also go by Hans New York. I'm a poet here in New York City. I'm at venues, and I've been in basically every borough besides Staten Island. So if you want to find me, it's HAUNZNOIRESPEAKS. Right? That's mad letters. But it's Hans New York Speaks. I post content whenever writing comes to me. Also, I'm in the works of starting an initiative for young men to have an outlet so they can speak because I did 2 major events recently. I spoke at a high school out here in Queens. Townsend Harris.
Yeah.
I spoke at Townsend Harris High School for their Black Excellence Club, and the reactions made me feel like I have work to do because they are 5% of a high school,
Right.
and I think out of the 5%, there was only like 4 young black men, and they didn't. They don't have outlets. They don't have resources because their school is predominantly, Asian. So, and then again, when I did Urban Word on 19th Street, and after the fact, the young men were just like, yo, we need an outlet like how you write, because I write a lot, and you already know with the whole Change Start With Us, it was phenomenal. So I'm working on curating an event that they can come to and, just write, release. If they need a hug, I'll give them a hug. If they need food, I'm trying to get something off the ground that they can, just feel safe. Because I think a lot of our young black men do not feel safe. They don't have strong black male characters, or not characters, because a character is a persona, but figures. So.
And I think all that comes into turn with like adults. These young black men don't feel safe because these older black men are not making them feel safe either. They're not leaders.
Most of them are abandoning their
right.
children.
But that's a whole nother topic for another day. I really wish we had time to kind of finish this. And like he said, we can do a whole season.
Man. We're gonna have a part 2.
We can do a whole season. We'll probably do a part 2. It'll probably be a podcast version. We can probably get it back over here.
Okay.
But please look out, because it's going to be another one. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be right back with spoken word from Hans Noir. Stay tuned, Courtney's Corner. I just feel like.
Why does my black make NYPD Blue uncomfortable? When was my black more of a threat than closed-minded redneck? How do you explain homicide to the youth of my black? 41 shots to the back is more than overkill. How is it so easy to get over my black after it's killed, off like it never existed? Red roses, brown coffins lined with morning dew from the eyes of the forsaken. In a land where freedom only reigns for whites, tans, and beige, my black suffers in desert conditions. Hoping, praying, wishing for equality to rain down on humanity. It's insanity that this glowing brown skin amounts to nothing but a symbol of darkness. Our presence is haunted. Haunting those who don't understand my black. I mean, how can they? When my skin shares the same name as something that makes people afraid. Is everyone an ectophobic? A fear of darkness must be the reason why the red running through my veins leaks out from the bullet holes blues and whites put in me. While orange leads with hatred. Yellow capitalizes on whatever they can. Green controls the mind when it's not in our hands. I can't even make my fellow black take a stand. If my black has glimmers of gold, he wants me dead and gone, just like NYPD Blue. I make them uncomfortable. My black will forever make people uncomfortable, especially because everyone's afraid of the dark.
So LA, it was such a great pleasure and honor to have you on the show. Knowing you from 2003 till now, watching you grow has been incredible. So it was a pleasure, and this was a lot. This was a lot. What did you take away from this episode?
The biggest though was different views from different men. Different experiences. I can't talk from the male perspective of never having the experience,
right?
Because I had the experience, so that's null and void to me,
right?
I like how we bridge the gap as far as different ways to go about it, different opportunities, different mind states of approaching it.
Yeah.
That's one thing that you can't get online.
It's true.
You
it's
have
so
to
true.
go through it to get through it.
No, I just felt like I love the fact that, like you said, we all came in with different ideas, and within that we were able to gel something so great together. You know what I mean? And like I said, this is a conversation that's going to have to happen again and again and again, and not just from these chairs, guys. They have to happen at home, in schools, with your friends, with your family, with strangers. These conversations need to happen. Before we go, if you want to tell the viewers how they can find more about you or what you're doing, even with your fraternity, whatever you have coming up, you want to take the time to do it before we end?
Let me go ahead and take my glasses for this one. So, you know, you guys can catch me directly on Instagram at Debonair_L. That's DEBONAIRE_L. And my sneaker page, Debonair Deadstock, Streets Through Culture, Sneakers Through Culture. You know, growing up as a kid, you know, we've seen how much the culture has evolved, and that was one of the ways that I can show my outlet. So that's how you guys can follow me. My fraternity, the best fraternity of the world, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. We do things with high school. We have the Guy Right program. We have Kappa League. So we're very active in the community. We do Thanksgiving drives, Christmas drive, tour drives back to schools.
Okay.
Summer camps.
All right.
You know, just reach out to your local, I guess, high school, because we have them in every high school. If not, just reach out to me and I'll put you on the right path that you need to find.
Well, thank you so much once again for
Thanks
being
for
here,
having
my
me,
man. And I'd like to thank you, and I'd like to thank our guests for adding to today's conversation. I hope you, the viewers, learned something new. Remember, anything taken to the extreme is error. Police brutality is a clear example of this. However, please do not paint all law enforcement with the broad stroke. There are some great officers and law enforcement personnel in our communities whose vocation is truly to protect and serve. The most important thing I want you to walk away with from our conversation is knowledge. Use good judgment, know your rights, and know where to find information when you need it. We hope today's episode inspired you to learn more about what you can do in your community to combat this very unfortunate and sad reality. To get involved with any of these organizations that you guys heard on today's episode, please, 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 please follow Courtney's Corner. I thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to watch. Please subscribe, and share this with every single person around you. I thank you for being here. I thank you for watching. I thank you for loving. And I'll see you next time on Courtney's Corner. Man, my guy.
It has been amazing. Once again, guys, thank you for tuning in to Courtney's Corner, Season 2, Episode 7, Police Brutality. I want you guys to give us a subscribe, a like, a share. Remember, it takes a village to raise a child. Let's get this word out. Let's get these perspectives out. Let's get the love out. Peace.